Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to this week's Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and today Eitan and I are here to share with you the best tips and practices for navigating our inner divide. Kabbalah teaches that each one of us is gifted with two voices inside that are part of the spiritual system to help us grow into the best versions of ourselves. Without that knowledge, we end up identifying with one of the wrong voice. And this is really the week of clarification and strengthening of the right voice to listen to. And we're going to share with you consciousness, wisdom, tools, and stories on how to do just that. Weekly Energy Boost is a 7-day spiritual weather forecast where we provide our listeners with the most practical and powerful tools to navigate the coming 7 days. We do that by gleaning through the wisdom of Kabbalah and picking the most powerful and practical tools to share with you every week, which not only ends up making this the best week ever, but also becomes practical and useful for any week of your life. And I had actually a couple people come up to me last week and say, I listened to the episode and it was like you knew exactly what I was going through. And I just want to share, as I shared with those people that said that to me, the reason for that is because whatever topic we bring to the episode, it's based on what the Zohar teaches us is the gift of this week through breaking down the specific portion in the Torah that's dedicated to this week. The Zohar reveals the inner meaning and also the practical teachings that we are meant to extract from those stories. So you could give us a date 5 years from now and ask us, can you tell us about the energy that week and what we should focus on? And we can do it 5 years in advance because the system, the universe is so specific. So even though you might be listening to this week's episode at not the week that it aired, obviously the right wisdom is going to find you at the right time for you, but knowing that the real foundation for Weekly Energy Boost is exactly that there is a GPS for us and how to navigate what we're going through. And all of us are going to be experiencing some version of the pull this week between the light within us, our soul, our true us, and that negative voice within. We call it the opponent, we call it ego, some people call it Satan, the Yetzer Hara. There's this pull inside that's tempting us to choose the easier path, the quicker fix, the short-term fulfillment, feeling good for a moment, and foregoing all of the work, the effort, the lasting fulfillment that we so consciously work towards the rest of the time, the rest of our lives. So this week we really want to share some of the best practices and really highest consciousness to maintain, to not give in, even though it's natural and it's normal and it's part of the human experience. We want to share what are the best ways to not give in and not trade off all of that effort that we make for those momentary, flashes of instant gratification. So Eitan, I want to ask you, when it comes to really getting the upper hand on that voice within, how can we start at least by distinguishing or understanding the difference between the two? Because I know sometimes in the beginning of the journey, it's not always so easy to separate, between the two voices when we perceive that inner dialogue has one source all our lives.
I think that there's so many tricks of the opponent, of the negative inclination, of the chatter within, that one of the main tricks for me is we don't look at that negative voice or that doubtful voice of that thought, it's so hard, it's so difficult, I can't do it. We don't look at this as a voice within us. We identify with it as that's who we are. That's what the Zohar tells us. The biggest goal of the opponent, that will believe in him as if that's my voice. And the mere fact that I'm asking the question, Is it my true self, my soul, or is it the voice of the opponent that was created to challenge me? The fact that I'm asking this question, I'm opening myself to be the observer. Imagine you're in the midst of self-doubt. I can't do it. I wish I would be like them. Self-judgment. And you catch yourself early on, before these thoughts becomes a major movie and a major, storm of emotions. You catch yourself early on and you say, 1 second, pause. Is it my soul talking to me, the divine self that actually wants to guide me in the right direction, or is it the illusionary self? So that's the first thing, asking the question. Separate yourself from attaching to the voice as if it's you. Be the observer. It's step number 1 to identify where it's coming from. Number 2, and I think you mentioned it, Elisheva, the Zohar tells us something very clearly. How do you know something is the negative force that eventually will create negativity, or the positive force that will create positivity? The Zohar tells us the negative inclination, that negative side, the opponent, the ego, all this energy that was created to challenge us and to help us grow, is always available without effort. You don't have to make an effort to access doubt. You don't have to make an effort to say, I don't want to do it, I'm selfish. You don't have to make an effort to worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. It's not just no effort. The Zohar, the words of the Zohar, that force entices us to attach ourselves to it. It's like effort versus gravitate towards that. And when you start to look at this, you realize, sometimes I'm so easily, without effort, say yes to people. I'll help you. I'll spend the time with you. We're not saying it's not the right thing. Sometimes maybe you mastered your soul voice and it become effortless. But sometimes, because it's so easy, ask yourself, wow, where am I coming from? Am I coming from the right place? Or because I'm afraid them to judge me? So every time an actions or a choice becomes so easy, too easy, it's one of the indication I'm listening to the other side, because anything of holiness, holiness means lasting. Any blessings that last, any choices that last, in the process of attaining that energy, that connection, that person, that friendship, that discipline, require effort. And the Zohar tells us, and even you acquire something, you master something, you studied a lot. In order to grow spiritually, you need to invest energy, not just being inspired once in a while. So you study, it doesn't mean that's it, you got it, I earned it, it's mine. The Zohar tells us, if you're not paying attention, you can lose it. So one of the first indicator to something that connects to holiness and to purity and to long-term truth, long-term blessings, long-term growth, long-term adding value to everybody, every aspect of my life and others, effort. And effort is relative to each individual. Evil inclination, insignification, no effort. So that's a big one, I would say.
I think something else that the Zohar repeats, not only in relation to this story, but in various, I would say every 2 volumes you find a similar teaching. The Zohar tells us, if not for darkness, we wouldn't know light. If not for sweet, if not for bitter, we wouldn't know sweet. And there is this duality, right, that I think it's not, it's talked about in other philosophies other than Kabbalah, but that duality is for our benefit, meaning if there wasn't that struggle and that effort, the fulfillment wouldn't be as great. If there wasn't a low place to rise from, we wouldn't triumph, we wouldn't excel, we wouldn't exceed previous versions of ourselves. But there's a deeper teaching in Kabbalah, and I think it's really helpful to understand that we, in the foundation of the creation story, asked for this polarity, asked for the ability to create our own reality, to choose to, we call it free will, but it really is to be the masters of our own destiny and not to constantly be driven by that evil inclination, as it's called, not to constantly, right? Like you said, it's so easy, it's effortless, it's the voice of the opponent is so compelling. It sounds like it's has our best interests in mind. It's protecting us. It's taking care of us. It doesn't want us to suffer. But in truth, all of our suffering comes from listening to that voice. So how do we reconcile, right? The whole idea that I'm saying I'm asking how we reconcile it, because so much of the world operates with a victim mentality. There's nothing I can do about it. This is how I was born. Even we look at things like astrology and use it to justify our shortcomings instead of to understand we chose these qualities so that we can rise above them. How do we bring that teaching into our daily lives? What is the practical approach if I notice I'm looking for the easy way out? I'm trying to make the other person look bad. I want to be right. I want to win the argument, which is a very popular one. What's the work that we do when we find ourselves wanting, like that voice is taking over and running the business? What do we do to dial it back and hand the control over to our soul, to the light?
So, but what you're saying, Elisheva, is to really connect with the light, to connect with growth, to connect with blessings. I need to go through a process of going against gravity and overcoming something within me. And the question is why? So in Limitless class, we just share that concept, but imagine for the audience here, imagine you are able to access happiness machine. Happiness machine. And there's no tricks there. You plug yourself to the happiness machine and it's in your brain, not too invasive, and you're plugged and you're totally fulfilled. You're totally at peace. You feel abundant in every area in your life. You feel the energy of soulmate inside of you. You feel you have the strength, the energy, as if you're wealthy. You feel inner joy. There's only one rule about it. In order to maintain this feeling, you need to be constantly plugged to this machine. And you don't have to make any effort. Just continue with your day, continue with your life. Just be plugged to that machine. And the question you want to ask yourself, and let's be honest, are you going to sign it for that program, 24/7 plugged to that happiness machine? And the majority of us would say, it will be no. Why not? Because it's going to be boring. Because there's no challenge. Because what's the point? In the DNA of our soul, we have the DNA of the Creator. And while we want to receive, but more important to us than receiving is creating. So every time you are able to overcome something, going against the natural tendency, because when you react, or when you say yes, and when you take, and when you choose comfort, you don't create anything. You gravitate, it's naturally. When you are able to go against the anger nature, the judgment nature, the lazy nature. Thinking about others when naturally you just want to think about yourself. You're creating. You're not just good. You reveal your soul while you're overcoming a layer. And that's what real fulfillment is about, that last. And it's very important because what you said, Elisheva, how do we look at struggles that I have fears. I have worries. I have deficiencies. I have these weaknesses. My opponent, look at all these issues. I have to hide them because I'm not cool, because I'm not good enough. My soul saying, thank God I have these issues because they were given to me by me recognize them as opportunity not to give in to the gravity. So actually shifting this attitude, my internal challenges are not my enemies. My enemy is treating it as an enemy. Believing something is wrong with me. Believing life is limited because I have all these issues and energies and limitations within me. So the way my soul looks at internal, even negativities within it, negative thoughts, as opportunity to excel. So it's a mindset. Jealousy is not your opponent. Jealousy is opportune to overcome jealousy and to love someone. Giving in to jealousy is your opponent. Giving in to not believing you can ever change is the opponent. Negative traits are not our opponent. Negative traits are jumping boards to growth. It's like, how can you go think about your life? We all would love to get deeper and deeper and deeper to reach our heart, to reach our soul, to reach our potential. You cannot go deeper without a challenging force. Some of you are in business. Without opposition, you didn't get deeper to reveal the real business that belonged to you. So that's the way to go so much with bigger desire to reveal my true potential. If not, we're all going to be shallow. Everything is okay, I'm fine, I'm sharing, I'm nice, I'm kind. Everything will be very shallow. And that's actually, it's a daily fight. I need to overcome the external layers of life and penetrate and find the new jewel every day. It's too difficult. That's the opponent.
I think one of the diamonds hidden in what you just said is that the real weapon against this force drawing us in is observation. The risk is it's so automatic pilot for most of us that we don't question it, that we don't, it doesn't, we're just, like the train is already just traveling. The real work the Kabbalists teach is observation, is recognition. Once you see, oh, wait a second, I'm on this spiral of jealousy, only when you recognize it can you do something about it. So you mentioned both in the beginning and just now the idea of asking, where is it coming from, right? Like, how do I know that to be true? Who told me that? Why am I so convinced that this is the way and not that way? Being in a state of observation and curious about where it's coming from is really the way to remove the disguise of that force at work. That's the trick, is that we've been listening so long. It's so familiar that it can be hard to distinguish from the true voice. But if you listen, not from the position of the actor or the reactor, but as a audience member, as a witness, it's so clear. The voice of your soul will never put someone down, create separation, judge, seek revenge, attack someone's character. The soul is this uplifting, expansive force. The trick is, and I think that this is a lot of what this week can give us, because the month of Scorpio is really about extremes. We spoke about it a few weeks ago, that there is this, and maybe you've witnessed this in your own lives, that everybody's a little bit kind of on fire, a little bit more spicy, a little bit more agitated, defensive, argumentative. Like, emotions are more intense in this month. So again, I just want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that within the month where there is this tendency to be more reactive, more judgmental, more, like to give into the intense emotions faster, we're also given the opportunity to strengthen the clarity about where those intense emotions are rooted. If you get angry, if you find yourself quick to anger in this month, or you felt that lately, or quick to take things personally, that's been a big theme in my meetings with people over the last month, is they're so sensitive and so hurt. And so there's a reason for that, because within the snake venom is actually the antidote for the snake bite. We're being given the antidote for that compulsive, autopilot, reactive voice within us, and to be more of a Switzerland, more of an impartial observer, to be able to see which voice to follow. And I do want to mention also that this Friday, Thursday night and Friday, is the new moon of Kislev, of Sagittarius, on the Kabbalistic calendar. So 2 things. One is that the days, as the final days of the month conclude, it tends to be lower energy, but then there's almost like a wave of energy that comes in the new moon. And we always advise everyone to really make the effort to be the most limitless version of us on the new moon, to be the most expansive, to have the strongest consciousness, not only in theory, but also in action, to be in sharing mode, to be, to pay attention to the opportunities to share, to give, to influence that might come our way, because that really sets the mold for the entire month. But I want to make sure that we're also paying attention that as the energy shifts, that we're taking the positive qualities of Sagittarius, which is that quickness, that initiative, moving quickly through things, not being, because I think the dichotomy between the energy of Scorpio, it's a little bit heavy, people are a little bit into it themselves, that we shift into this higher frequency energy of Sagittarius. So Eitan, is there any consciousness, any tips you can give us as we begin the month of Sagittarius, how to take advantage of that unique energy?
I think one of the things that we would love to keep in the forefront of our mind is miracles. And what is really the message of miracle, which connecting to this portion as well, is revealing light from darkness. Unexpected. So imagine you have a new consciousness. Start even a few days before Sagittarius. Every time challenge is coming, you might need to deal with it, but first pause, miracles are coming. Miracles are coming. Because darkness means concealed miracles coming your way. When I'm fighting the darkness, or I'm reacting to the darkness and giving in to the darkness and becoming sad from the darkness, I'm burying the miracle that is available. So really, miracles are coming. Every time facing any types of challenge, darkness, especially unexpected, miracles are coming.
It's perfect, because we just spent the last 20 or so minutes talking about how, right, the natural way is to go the way of the opponent, but creating miracles is literally about resisting the nature, doing the opposite, right? The natural thing when something goes wrong is to get upset, to blame, to get reactive. If we can rise above that natural inclination, we connect to that energy of miracles. Maybe not in that second. The miracle doesn't necessarily come in that moment that we rise above, but we begin that process of creating a miracle for ourselves, and it is coming, absolutely. I wanted to end really quickly with a meditation from Karen Berg that I feel is perfect for exactly what we were talking about, both in the beginning, right? Connecting to the opportunity of conquering our inner divide, but also that we have the new moon this week. And really the best way, I think, to welcome that is with this meditation. So Karen's suggestion is, imagine lighting a single candle in a dark room. Its power is strong as it removes the darkness. Focus on the flickering flame. It endlessly ascends upward toward the heavens. This is your nature. No matter where we find ourselves in life, we are inclined to look for the good in every situation. We believe in love and hope. We believe that the light is stronger than the darkness. We are capable, just like the flame, to bring light to any situation when we act in ways of love and kindness. When we give others compassion, we ignite our inner light and darkness vanishes. This is our unique power as humans. It is simple love, care, and human dignity that leads us to our victory. It is a life devoted to revealing this divinity within that allows us to achieve the greatness we are destined for. People who serve and share. People who are kind, giving, and strive to make the world a better place. These are the people who have chosen the light, who are able to leave this world smiling while everyone else is crying.
Wow. Very powerful.
Very powerful. And I think that when we see ourselves as that candle, also the solutions will present themselves.
Beautiful. Elisheva, would you like to say a few words about the event we're going to have Thursday night?
Wow, absolutely. So for those of you who are in Los Angeles or who can get to Los Angeles Thursday night, we are having an exclusive event featuring Monica Berg and Eitan, who will be presenting a live masterclass that we are recording at a studio for Kabbalah.com, but our listeners have the opportunity to be a part of our studio audience. So it's an opportunity not only to learn very powerful teachings and connect to practical wisdom and tools from the leading teachers of Kabbalah, but also to connect with community, like-minded people, to socialize. It's going to be a lovely event, lovely experience. And if you don't live in LA or can't get here and you know people who you've been waiting to share this wisdom with, this is the best opportunity I think we've ever offered to make that connection and to have that in-person experience. So we will put the link in the show notes and on weeklyenergyboost.com, but it is on Thursday, November 20th. So if you're listening after that, we're going to have to share with you more opportunities to connect, but really it's one of those once in a lifetime. We've never done something like this before. So we really hope that you can join us.
Amazing.
As always, Weekly Energy Boost is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow us on those platforms for additional content to support you in living what we share every week. You can also go to our website, weeklyenergyboost.com, to learn more about our special event in Los Angeles, to read more about the things that we think are important for our listeners to know about, as well as search our archives, send us a message, or click the donate button to make Weekly Energy Boost possible. But as always, keep sharing, keep reviewing, rating, liking, subscribing, and we'll see you next week on Weekly Energy Boost.